Okay, so I wanted to do a quick update on CLOV and the hype it's been receiving and maybe what to expect this coming week or in the coming weeks. Before I get started, I also wanted to mention I'm off work now for the summer, so I'm going to attempt to do a live stream tomorrow and see how it goes. I'm still kind of learning how to get it set up, but I sit here and watch charts every day anyway, so I figured if I could throw the live stream on and anyone wants to come on and watch, I'll be watching CLOV for sure and a couple other tickers that I've been following right now. If you're following my channel, you know some of the other ones that I'm also into. Um, so if you haven't noticed, CLOV's been getting a lot of retail interest on social media and Reddit over the weekend. The CLOV subreddit is gaining a ton of new members. It's getting traction in some of the more popular subs like Wall Street Bets, and this is all great. But I wanted to also say that in terms of, setting expectations for the squeeze this week, it absolutely could happen, and growing retail interest is definitely going to help. But don't get too hung up on specific days. Like, don't, tie yourself to like tomorrow as Monday. And if it doesn't happen, now you're bummed out. Or it's going to happen this week. And if it doesn't happen, now you're bummed out. I mean, this stock is heavily shorted. I think it's almost close to 50% now. And this is a company that's grossly undervalued. So it's a great long term buy with the potential for a short squeeze as the price keeps moving upward, which makes this a great candidate. And so I just I don't want to get too hung up on specific weeks. I've been seeing a lot of posts and everything like, oh, Monday's going to be wild. Oh, Tuesday's going to be wild. And my experience, just with the whole GME thing, which is still kind of going in itself, is a lot of times when people get hung up on specific dates or days or weeks, and it doesn't happen, it's kind of a big letdown, and the people that are shorting this stock, I'm sure they're following the subreddit. I'm sure they're looking on Wall Street Bets. I'm sure they see that the hype is gaining. And so they're probably going to try to hit the stock even harder too tomorrow to be a letdown, to make you want to sell and think to move on to something else. So, anyways, just wanted to get that out the way. I want to pull up the option chain real quick because if you watch my last video, I was talking about the option chain and kind of how, you know, things we were seeing, and there was a lot of concentration here between this, $8 and $10 strike. We saw a lot. Well, this week, or 8 to 10, yeah. Well, this week, I mean, this $10 strike went up huge in terms of open interest. That's the number of contracts that are still that are open right now that people have bought on calls. And now we're even seeing more concentration at $11 and even at the $12 strike. Not so much in here at the 13 and 14. There's still room to kind of build that up, but you can see 14,000 at the $15 strike too. Um, and one important thing to remember though is that these expire on the 18th, so it doesn't expire this week, which still kind of gives it time to build up. And as the stock kind of ramps up, in price, what's good about that $8 to $12 range being really concentrated right now is every time we pass one of those numbers, the algorithms are going to start having to hedge those calls, and they might have to buy 5 more shares per 10,000 calls. Now another 10 shares per 38,000 calls, and it just keeps ramping up. So that's going to help us get that upward momentum as well. So like I said, they don't expire until June 18th. And, right now the option chain kind of tops out at $22. But what I've seen in other stocks is usually, like, let's say we do get a big run up this week. Let's say we go to $12, whether it be on Friday, Monday, whatever. What you'll likely see is the next day they'll extend the option chain even more. So now all of a sudden it'll open up all the way to $30. Or if we get a good push to like 16 or 17 or 18, they'll open up the chain to $40. As kind of like big time option players come in or retail starts FOMOing in, they'll continue to load that chain up. And that's what we want, because as stocks are bought and the price goes higher, the chain is going to help us gamma squeeze up, almost like we saw with AMC last week when it ran up to $73. To me, I don't see that as being a short squeeze. I'm sure there were shorts covering because that price went up almost 100%, but a lot of that had to do with the option chain and all that, all the calls that were sitting on there that, help ramp it up. So we're kind of seeing that right now, but it looks like we're topping out at around $12. There's still not enough kind of, we need some more players to come in and kind of buy those up, which will help us gamma squeeze up to these higher numbers. In terms of short squeezing, I don't really see it short squeezing until, pressure can be applied to the shorters, and that's probably not going to happen until we really get past 15 or 20 because, right now, even if this stock runs up to 12, $13, that's not going to be enough to do it. They'll just short it some more and knock it back down. But if we can get this thing, into like the $20 range, then all of a sudden that'll apply that pressure where they'll have to start buying back, and that's going to make it go even higher. So a gamma squeeze where we blow out the option chain to me would likely be the catalyst for the short squeeze. We get to $22 and we covered every call on the option chain, and all those options got to be hedged. Now all of a sudden that's going to put the pressure on the shorters to start buying back, and that's where we'll kind of kick into that short squeeze mode. If there's enough retail momentum early this week, likely even tomorrow, based on the hype I've been seeing online, I could see us kind of starting to kick things off early. But, to really get upwards of $30, I see it taking multiple days, maybe even another week, And we're also likely going to be fighting against market makers who want to suppress the price. I've talked about that in the May video when we were kind of in a real good spot for a gamma squeeze. But, they're going to keep knocking down the price at all these different strike prices. Right now we're at, in the $9 range. $10 call has 38,000 open interest. To me, that's going to be a huge point. If we could rally past there, that's not only a significant point for, those calls going in the money and having to be hedged, but that's probably going to be where the battle is fought because they're not going to want to see this thing roll past 10 because then from there it could likely really kick up. I don't know. I guess my point is in this whole video, even though I'm talking about, I'm absolutely hyped up about tomorrow and hyped up about this week because things are looking good and we have the retail, interest now, and it seems like it's gaining momentum. But if it doesn't happen tomorrow, it's okay. If it doesn't happen by June 18th, it's okay. The stock is worth double what it's trading at right now. So it's a solid investment. And as it continues to rise, even if this is slow and it continues to rise, week after week, we just see little gains. Eventually, the shorts are going to continue to be pressured. And, even if this takes months, at some point, they're going to buy out. They're going to have to. That's the only way to close their position is to buy, and that's going to make it go even higher. So I'm thinking it's going to be sooner. I'm excited about tomorrow, but just don't get your hopes up too much. Don't be let down if it doesn't happen. And again, I'll be live streaming tomorrow. I'm trying. I'm going to try to figure it out tonight, see if I can get it set up. If you subscribe to my channel, I'm assuming you'll get a notification once I figure it out and I set the live stream up. I'm going to try to get it set up, before the market opens so that at 6:30 a.m. when the market's open, we got the charts on there. We can check it out and watch it. And so if you subscribe, once I do that, you should be able to get a notification and be able to jump in. I think that's everything. The only thing I want to mention too, and I know like right now, I would say in terms of, I think shares, because we don't know when this is going to happen. The last thing you want to do is load up everything into June 18th calls and it doesn't happen by June 18th and now you're screwed, right? So I would say shares is the way to go, but if you were going to do options, make sure you go further out. I've talked about it in another video. I bought a bunch of January 2022s and 2023s leaps, where I went way out so that, I have basically the control of 100 shares, even if this thing takes up to a year. Doing anything for June 18th, I think is a lot riskier, even though it's likely that we might see something by then. If you wanted to go shorter term, I would at least maybe push into probably November. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. Wasn't trying to drag on too long, but I wanted to say a couple of those things and kind of address it and also let you know that I am going to try to get this live stream going tomorrow. If anyone wants to join me, kind of watching the stock and hopefully watching this thing gamma squeeze and then short squeeze. All right, take it easy. Have a good night. Good luck in the markets tomorrow.